All righty, we are live. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Sports to Suits, where weekly I highlight former athletes that have not done just incredible things in the athletic community, but are also doing some awesome things in business. And today I am so excited because I have a friend, Jonathan Wynn, on the line with me today. Jonathan, say hi. We've got Sarah popping in. If you are new to the show, definitely let us know where you're viewing in from. Would love to hear where you're at and who all's joining. But Jonathan, thank you so much for joining us today.
No, thank you. I really appreciate it. I can't wait to get it up and really go into detail.
Awesome. Well, why don't you, as people are popping in, why don't you just tell people a little bit about yourself?
Oh yeah, no. For anybody, my name is Wynn. I'm out in Georgia. I came to Nashville, attended Vanderbilt University, and played there from 13 to 2017. Majored in after grad 17, I went to the NFL and played for three teams: Minnesota, Detroit for a year and a half. Then my last Carolina. On top of that, while I was in creative, I published my own book called Summer. Um, also on top of the close time.
So I think somebody that's listening that's popping in, definitely let me know. I think there's a little bit of some audio issues. So I'm hearing a little bit of audio delay on your end. So I'm gonna ask you, do you mind popping out and then jumping right back in and we'll see if that fixes it?
Yeah, I gladly do it.
Cool, awesome. And while I'll give a little bit of background on you as well while you're doing that, but I think that we're getting a tad bit of audio issues. So I want to get you to reset a little bit. So, hey, Josh. Hey, Doug. So while Jonathan is popping out, I'll give you a little bit of background on Jonathan and I. We met at the tail end of last year. So Jonathan was playing football at the time, and I got connected to Jonathan through an amazing friend of mine, Amani Kelly, and we actually developed a relationship via LinkedIn. And then we eventually met for coffee. And he announced his retirement earlier on this year. And so since then, he's been working through this athlete transition and figuring out how to go from sports to business. So there he is. I was given a little bit of background, Jonathan, about kind of how you and I met. We met through Amani. We kind of got to know each other through LinkedIn.
Yeah,
We've got all sorts of new friends popping in here. Hey, John, good to see you from New Jersey. We've got Josh in from Lawrence, Kansas. We've got Doug in from Texas. So we've got people all over the place. But
yeah.
hopefully now we don't have audio issues. So
Okay. I'm hoping everything's good. Should I do a testing 1 2 1 2 type of?
it is so much better. So sometimes StreamYard does that a little bit. So I'm glad that all is good. So
Yeah.
why don't you tell everybody again just a little bit about your background so people can get to know you a little bit better?
Oh yeah, no problem. Once again, my name is Jonathan Wynn. I'm from Stone Mountain, Georgia. I attended Vanderbilt University and played college football there from 2013 to 2017. Graduated in 2017 and entered the National Football League, where I played with teams such as the Minnesota Vikings, Detroit Lions. Then my last team was with Carolina Panthers. And off the field, I also published my own book called Summer Juice in 2020. Also dabbled in other writing publications like the Playbook, which was done by the NFL as well. And I just recently retired going into this year. And now I'm excited to go down the entrepreneur route.
Well, I'm super excited to dig into that with you because I, once again, have had the opportunity to get to know you a little bit better and just, I really admire your discipline and your drive and your ability to just start over. That's something that I see in a lot of athletes, their ability to just start over. So I'm super excited to dive into that. But before that, like, how did you get into football? Was it always football or was it all sorts of sports and then you decided to get into football at a later time?
Yeah, coming from Georgia, especially Stone Mountain, Georgia, you always bring your kids into sports. And with my dad, he told my grandma that before I was born that he always wanted to play catch with me. So I was always born into playing games. And football really came to me when I was 8 years old. It wasn't my first sport, but it was one of the sports that I always seemed to come running back to because it always made me feel good, It was a way to get rid of some aggression and also take me to another world where I feel like I'm a superhero or I have another identity or on and off switch. So that's kind of how I got into football.
So, at what age did you know, like, I really want to play professionally? Like, at some point, that had to like cross your mind of like, I'm doing really well in this sport. I have a lot of talent. You know,
Yeah.
this is how I'm gonna go professional. At what point did you make that switch in your mind?
Well, so a lot of people assume that I always dreamed of playing professional football when I was young. But I didn't. I actually wanted to play college football. Growing up in Georgia, I was a huge Georgia Bulldog fan, especially during the years we had Matthew Stafford, Noshawn Marino, just great guys. And it was something about watching college football games where you had the fanfare, the students, the pageantry that just made me light up. And like I always had in my head, like I want to play college football. Like I don't care what happens in life. I want to play college football because I just want that energy of the fans and the students. Like it was something about that. Now NFL football didn't really come to me really until like going into my junior or senior year of Vanderbilt, where I started to realize that I'm good and that if I actually take this to the next level, I can make it to the next level. And ever since then, that's really when I wanted to go to NFL. Now, I can say growing up in Atlanta during those times where you had the Michael Vick era, that it was also exciting too. I knew all the Falcons players and everything like that, but I can truly say at heart that I knew I wanted to play college football.
So, talk about your journey of going from, I would imagine getting into Vanderbilt, you had some pretty solid just academic background in high school. So, talk about that transition of going from high school and actually like becoming recruited into Vanderbilt because that is a super prestigious school like academically, but they also have an incredible athletic program. So, what was that journey like for you?
Yeah, so going into high school, I took AP classes. I took two of them each year, only in ninth and 10th grade. And during those years, I was the type of person who loves to be out and about, but it was something during those years where I learned to actually stay inside and hone in on my work and hone in on doing what I need to do before I do what I want to do. And during those years, I think that's the years that planted seeds towards me being able to handle the workload of Vanderbilt University. And also be able to do that alongside with football, especially in high school, which was also tough as well, kind of planted the seeds towards me going to Vanderbilt University. And when it got towards junior year, where I got a chance to start and play more and show and highlight myself alongside having good grades, once Vanderbilt started knocking on the door, it seemed like it was a no-brainer. And
So did they come to you or did you kind of like were there other schools that you were interested in? Like was Vanderbilt and this may be a little controversial, but was Vanderbilt like your top pick or were there other schools that you were talking to as well or like how did you go about selecting Vanderbilt?
yeah, so me and my mom always will have I guess a debacle about this, but because I would always tell her that she made me forced to pick Vanderbilt early in my junior year, but I can truly look back and say that I did. It was something about Coach Franklin during that time that knew how to sell me on to the dream of Vanderbilt. He had the whole staff and the whole team. And I remember the official visit, he had everybody participating on getting my class to be able to recruit and commit. And I really was sold onto it. And at the same time, I prayed a lot about it during that time. And I can truly say that spring of junior year, I knew I wanted to play for him and play for Vanderbilt. And I also did love Nashville. It was a new city, and I felt like I could, mix into it.
Well, and Nashville is pretty close to home then, right? So I would imagine you traveled back and forth and you also probably had family members travel up too at
Yeah.
times for some of the games for support. So we've got Byron popping in here from Tennessee. Hey
Hey.
Byron, good to see you. So let's chat a little bit about so you graduate high school and you go into Vanderbilt. What was that like for you? Like academically, it is a rigorous school. And then you're also juggling the whole student athlete life. So what was that process like for you?
It was definitely different. Graduating my high school, I thought my Georgia education prepared me for Vanderbilt. But I was surely humbled that summer going into freshman year where we took classes and I had to write papers and I thought I could write before I could write in terms of like doing actual papers and things. And, I was humbled by reading marks by the professors and talking to our advisors about how to do certain things when it comes to the academic world. So it was definitely a transition. And then on top of that, football was more of a dedicated time structured schedule. In high school, it wasn't really like that. In college, it's a set schedule. You get in and you get out. Then on top of that, you have meetings and you have workouts. It was I can remember it like it was yesterday. Like days were definitely structured out. And if you did not time manage well, you was gonna be left behind. So I kind of had to, adapt and adjust. It took some time, but one of the things I started to realize once I found my routine, found what worked for me, what works for me, I knew that I could be able to do this. And at the same time, Vanderbilt University provided you with the resources to be able to succeed. And as long as you took advantage of them, it would have been no problem.
So there's a lot of student athletes that listen to this show. And I would imagine some of these student athletes are newer into being a student athlete. So aside from tapping into the resources, what are some like words of wisdom that you would give to them?
Man, on top, because the resources was a major part. Um, being able to find somebody to talk to. You're coming in from high school to freshman year, you can get humbled real quick. That high ego can somehow play. As soon as you get on campus and you getting stacked on top of all these responsibilities and things, find somebody you can talk to and express this about. Mental health is a big thing, and I definitely took that to heart going into college. Finding like a coach to talk to, finding our team chaplain to talk to, and also finding like a big brother on the team, a senior who can help you like understand how you do this and get words of encouragement to keep going. So I could say that would be one of my second things I'll put behind resources in terms of like being able to like do well.
So, what was it like since your dream was to play college ball? What was it like walking on the field for the first time to play your game? I've been to some Vanderbilt football games and they are intense. So, what
Yeah,
was it like as a player just walking on the field and your first game out there?
it was fun. My first game where I actually walked on the field was when we played Ole Miss on a Thursday night season opener. It was a big SEC game, SEC crowd. It was a lot of hype going into the game. I walk in, I see all the stands is crowded with red and black and gold, and it's just something that I will never forget. And from then on, that's what made me realize, like, yeah, like this is what I always wanted to do. And from that first game, I was a redshirt freshman, so I didn't play. But moving forward, going into the rest of my career at Vanderbilt, I realized like that's what I wanted to live for, to be able to play my heart out in front of millions of fans on TV in the SEC where it's tough and it's competition, and it's just something I always dreamed of, and I was just so happy to be able to live it.
So, what did you learn on the field in college football that could be translated into a business sense? Because I talk a lot about this whole transition and the lessons that you can learn from sports and translating that into the business community. So, what are some things that you learned on the field that directly have translated off the field because you're new to the work world, right? So, what are you finding that is directly translating from sports to business?
Effective communication. I'll put it into situations like on the field, we run a play, and then while the play's being ran, you have to make a check or audible. But you can't just make it towards yourself. You got to make it towards other people so they know, so y'all can all be on the same page and run the play. And I see that a lot more as I'm entering this real world where if you really want to make things happen, closed mouths don't get fed. You gotta be able to express it, communicate it, and do it in a good, in a, I say, articulate way, because you don't want to just say it to yourself or assume somebody gets what you're saying. Like, you want to be able to communicate well. Then at the same time, I can say how, we play a game during the halftime is where most of the adjustments happen, where you have to switch, you have to change up the game plan, you have to change some things around and actually try to find a way to win. I can see that more so in the business sense in terms of how, we come into this life, we come into business having a plan, but then certain things happen and shit where you gotta change. You gotta just change the plan, change the direction of where we're going. And I see that more. I'm starting to see that more in terms of some of the entrepreneurial endeavors I'm trying to make happen, and how I gotta find the information to be able to change the plan. Reach out to people, let them know what their thoughts, so I can kind of dial in on what I think is more reasonable and fair in order to move forward and propel. So I can say those are two things that I see that translate from the game to the world of business.
We've got Brett popping in here. He says you're charging up this platform with energy, your journey, how you transitioned in your earlier days, the role coach did, the feelings. You're an amazing person. Thanks, Brett, for that
Thank you, Brett.
comment. super kind. So are you finding, so my background in sports was very intense. Like, even the coaching styles were super intense at times. And it's just a different environment than being in a team in a work setting, in a traditional work setting. Are you finding that as well? So even though you're focused on communication,
Yeah.
are you finding that you have to just adjust the approaches or the way that you're communicating with people a little bit differently off the field versus on the field?
Yes. One of the things I'm starting to realize for most of my people, for most of my coworkers who were not athletes, they did not operate how we operate. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm realizing, like, that's a thing that I gotta get used to, because I'm around highly developed individuals that, try to maximize their potential, that trying to do this, do that. And then, I get around other people in the real world where the drive doesn't match the same intensity, and I can't just come at them in a abrasive way. I got to come at them in different approaches to be able to communicate what I'm trying to communicate, to get my point across and really understand their world, where they're coming from, and have that translate into my world. Also, too, I'm starting to realize, you know, ma- a lot of people say maturity comes with age, and I can really say maturity comes with experience. Um, as I'm transitioning out of the NFL and going into the biz world, I'm trying to find experience, or try to do anything to find experience. For me, I know I'm gonna have to take some risk. I'm gonna have to just put myself out there and just learn on the fly. And for some people, I can truly say it can be tough for people to step outside the comfort zone and understand. This is what I got to do in order to propel forward. So, yeah.
So you have done such a great job of building out a community, and not just on the field, but also off the field. So you, like I've mentioned earlier on that you weren't in here, but we met through a mutual friend, met then on LinkedIn, had coffee, and have just continued developing a friendship ever since. And you've done a really good job of like navigating the whole community outside of sports as well. So, what are some tips or tricks that you could give to people on starting to build your business community almost from scratch? Because you're coming from a very significant sports community, but you're going into the business world trying to navigate that. So, if you have other people in that scenario where they may be reluctant or not nearly as extroverted as you are, what are some tips that you could give to them that would help them navigate that community off the field?
Yeah, really just put yourselves out there. For me, I know I try to build genuine relationships. I check in on people. I let people know what my story is, and then I try to know their story, and also try to see how we can help each other out. I'm really thankful for, like, our mutual friends LinkedIn, to be able to help me, get in touch with people, communicate with people, grab coffee and lunch with people, and actually, like, put a face to the messages that I wrote. I know it's pandemic, we can't really, go up, be out and about like that, but I try to make sure I do all I can to like network and build genuine relationships, because at the end of the day, we're dealing with people, and you want to try to just be your authentic self to people, because it seems like as I'm moving in this business world, you can kind of tell who are really there for the genuineness, and not, and also who's there for clout, or just for a motive in mind. So I can say that's one thing. Then also just also being comfortable with uncomfortable. Am I naturally extroverted? No, I'm really introverted, but took some time. It took some time. This person that you're seeing right now, it took some time. I usually don't like to talk in front of people. It took some time, but with practice, with just building more of my confidence, because I feel like most introverted people who don't like to speak in front of people is more of a confidence thing. It's more of a shyness, but I had to grow out of that, because I knew within me that it was a star in here that needed to shine, and I needed to get it out. And the only way I'm gonna get it out is by me talking and put myself out there. And with time, I learned to be able to communicate and actually like express my joy and my story to people. So, but I had to get comfortable with that. And sometimes I be having my hiccups to where it's like, dang, I forgot I gotta do that, or dang, like it still kind of feels weird to me. But I'm still getting used to that, because I know, God gave me this gift of creativity and being able to speak and relate to people. And I know that's going to be the thing that puts me above. So I make sure to try to continue to stay out there and take advantage of opportunities that where I have that. So I'll say also too, that's another thing, just being comfortable being uncomfortable. And
Well, and I'm pretty sure. So I'm saying this because when you and I first met, I'm pretty sure you thought I was a crazy lady.
I had to warm up to you. I remember it was morning. I was still kind of, I was still kind of tired. But after a while, after you started talking to me, I started to open it. And that's when the floodgates just
It probably didn't help. I showed up in a full blown business suit.
in a sweatshirt, and I knew that. I think that was the first moment where I knew, like, the next time I meet up with people for business, I can't be coming to them in just sweatshirts, and I had to transition to collar shirts, and something casual. So you you taught me a lot. You taught me a lot on that in that meeting. So I just want to let you know that. So
So we've got Rex popping in here. Great point about stepping out of your comfort box is so true. Like all of us have things that we have to overcome, and for me, it's about surrounding myself with people that are going to push me outside of that a little bit,
yeah.
right? Like and just acknowledging that I've got to learn, right? And we've got Rupa's popping in. So, what is the one lesson you wished you had learned earlier in your athletic career?
Really, I say to control what you can control. That is something that stands the test of time when it comes to every athlete, or even just life in general. But specifically in the athletic world, where as an athlete, you try to make something happen. You trying to make the play. You trying to put it all on you to make it happen. And when you sometimes take a loss as a team, you sometimes take a loss personally. It just isn't fair, and you don't know why it ain't fair, and you don't really see the big picture behind this. But overall, when it comes to your journey and the plan, like, you just got to know, like, just control what you can control, and that will not have you stressed out about things that don't even matter, or doesn't pertain to you. So that was one thing I can say, learning early in my career, how it will help me be more mentally engaged and mentally at my top tier, instead of just succumbing to other things like that.
So let's jump into going from college to professional sports. What
Yeah.
was that journey like for you? So you ended up getting recruited, right, in junior year ish, and you went to the NFL.
Yeah.
So what was that journey like for you? You mentioned you wanted to just play college ball, and at first the NFL wasn't even really something that you were looking forward to, but now like you had this incredible opportunity and you go over and you start playing for the NFL. What was that journey like for you?
So it was different. The one thing I can truly say about Vanderbilt from the time I stepped on campus to leaving was that they made sure you was more than an athlete. They made sure you was not boxed in as an athlete or a football player. They made sure you was well rounded. They made sure you had other desires and passions to plant and grow and nourish. And that basically stayed with me going to the NFL. And one of the things about the Vanderbilt was that all your time was taken up, like from school to get to ball to everything. And as soon as I stepped into the NFL, I had a lot more free time. It just felt so weird to me. Like it felt so weird to me. Like as soon as I got off of practice or football, like I just had all this free time, and I wasn't the type to play video games like that. I could watch TV, but to an extent. And to me, I knew I needed something else to do, or pick up a hobby, or find an outlet to get away from football. And one of the things I took up was writing. One of my close friends, he told me about how he would journal and was just like, man, maybe you should try it. And I remember ever since then, I just never stopped picking up the pen and then going into that rookie year. That's when I try to find ways to, make my time productive outside of football. Because during those times, without outside of playing football, I would try to find ways to learn about money management and storybook writing and things I feel like I can make money outside of football. Because coming from Vandy, I'm more than football. Like I just want to see what that is though, or find it earlier than usual. So that was one of the things I picked up for sure. But I knew that as well. I was around guys who were older, who had families and had kids, and also that this was football now in the NFL was a part of your livelihood. In order to have food on the table, in order to be able to pay for things and things like that, this was going to be the way that I was going to make it happen. And it kind of hit me that going into rookie year, like, dang, like this is really what's making life go right now. So that was one of the first things I realized going to NFL of how this is what it is, but also too just meeting extraordinary people. I think a lot of people always suspected that athletes just had this jock mentality and that we were just athletes, but some of the smartest people I know our athletes were guys in the locker room who they knew to use their football gifts to be able to change circumstances in their family and generations. And you don't see many athletes talking about that, but in the locker room you saw them flushing it out, what I'm saying, telling people about that, like this is what I'm going to do, and talk about this is what I see myself with my family. And I feel like that's just very smart because you're just blessed with athleticism and a gift, and to not be able to maximize and utilize that till it runs out is a waste. So I know I'm going in real quick, but uh, that's really what I saw coming into the NFL of guys using their image and their gifts to be able to learn other things such as like real estate and stock stuff and things that they might find interesting outside of football. Like I saw it all with guys. So that was one of the things I learned going into.
So we've got another question popping in, and this is a great segue into that. So, what advice would you give to a professional athlete in the middle of their career to position them for the next life?
To already start first financially start saving, or they should then start saving, but they haven't yet start saving money. So when that time does come, you can have a nice little period to where that income doesn't like deflate or digress. You can kind of have time to be able to what I'm saying, do what you need to do first. Second, start investing. Most guys going to league, they never heard about that. Most people haven't had to learn about that. As an NFL player, you are open to communicating with a lot of people, with everybody, if you really wanted to. So using your image and using your brand to talk to people about investing is a big thing. So you can be able to do so yourself and set yourself up to, you know, have all the things you want later down in life. Third, just start contacting with people that you like in terms of like the things that they're doing, something that you're passionate about that they're doing, and just continue to build genuine relationship, not just on some I want to like, what I'm saying, like basically do what you do. Just what I'm saying, continue to just talk and connect with them, so you can kind of understand and pick their brain about what it is they do, and then with that you can decipher whether you want to do that or find something else to do. And that's one of the things I can say is those are the three things I can say if you're in the middle of your career to be able to do that as well. And then fourth, when it do comes to that time where you decide to hang it up, understand that after you transition out of the league, it's going to be a rough period where it's going to be you're going to be out of whack. You're going to be kind of saying teeter tottering whether like you made the right decision or not. Really try to find somebody to express your mental health to, because during that time, even talking to my boy Travis Reed that we both know, he clearly told us about how that period after playing basketball, that it was a rough period. It was a tough period. Most of the people that most of the friends and people that we knew only connected us only through the athletic tip and not the person tip. So try to find people that you're close with, people that love you for you, and be able to talk to them and express to them about what you're going through, so you can be able to what I'm saying, triumph over these times of being without sports and being without ball, and know that there's people in your corner, and also having mentors to be able to talk to, so you can try to find a way to transition, because that them first couple months out of football or out of sports, transitioning can be real tough. But if you have a good team around you, people you can talk to, it definitely won't be as bad. So yeah.
So it's interesting that you say this because I hear one of the biggest challenges for athletes is like the trust factor, right? Is like making sure that people are in it for the right reasons. And like the reality is that athletes get taken advantage of all the time. And it is a very, very sad, terrifying thing. So I'm just like, I want to give some inspiration to some other athletes that may be listening to this on how to navigate that. So, what are your thoughts on finding people that are truly there for the right reasons, right? And like, I don't want to take this to like a dating perspective because the Bachelor, like the
Yeah.
Bachelor Nation, like, are you in it for the right reasons? We're not going there, but it's the same thing, right? Like, how do you know that these people that you're communicating with?
Yeah. Yeah. Some people are blessed with the gut intuition to know that somebody is rocking with them pure out of love and out of just they want to try to help. Some people have that gift. Now for people who do not have that gift, it's going to be more hard work behind that in terms of doing your research behind the person that you're talking to, asking other people that might know them, in terms of getting the gist of like who they are as a person. And then at the end of the day, it's always about you either praying on it and making sure that you try to test the waters of how they are in terms of their relationship and see how it goes. You know, and also not rushing something to happen. I feel like when it comes to athletes, because especially with athletes who has a motive in mind, and we feel like this person is going to help us get that motive to fruition, and so we kind of want to just jump in and see what happens and try to make it happen, but really just trying to really don't rush, really build a genuine rapport, really try to collect all your information and evidence before making any decision that requires either signing a dotted line or require a firm handshake, which is also, to me, just a dotted line, and really trying to figure that out.
So we have, and I'm not sure exactly who this user is, but they have asked the question, what have you learned about teamwork from your past experiences?
Yes, it always goes back for me. It always goes back to communication. When I'm on a team with somebody, I want to talk to everybody, make sure we're all on the same page, make sure we're all fight going towards the goal that we have in mind. but also just getting to know somebody. I can truly say I try to take advantage of learning my teammates and knowing their stories so I can understand them better. And then, because if I understand them better, when we go out into the world or we go out as a team, I can know what they have on the line. I can know what drives them and what is their why. And I think to be a good teammate, you have to know your teammates why. Like I feel like that kind of helps you understand like, okay, this is who they are as a person. Then while as a teammate, this is what's gonna help you learn to work with them and be able to, plan with them because you know how they are. You get a chance to learn more, about them. So I can truly say that's how I feel like teamwork plays a part into it.
So I want to flip the question over and ask, like, what makes a good leader? Like, in your opinion, coming from, a team-based sport, and you've been around a lot of people that are leaders, right?
Yeah.
So what in your mind like defines good quality leadership?
Yeah, for me, off the rip, it's really somebody who says they're gonna do something and do it. That's something that just knocks off the first off this. Make sure not the person to tell you that I'm gonna do this and promise you I'm gonna do this and not do it, but actually like they do it, which is first. Second, somebody who's fair. I remember talking to my best friend not too long ago about the story of King Solomon in the Bible and how basically he had to, when it came to certain situations that he was presented with, he had to be fair. He couldn't let anything either like he couldn't let biased opinions basically dictate how he was going to make a decision. He had to just take everything in, make the decision that he felt like was right at his heart and from what he knows, and basically, stick with that, make decision and stick with it. So somebody who is fair to me always has my respect. And then because also too tying respect with it too, like somebody who's respectable, somebody, you know, they have the swag, the able to lead, but they also are vulnerable. Like they also put themselves out there, and of course, as somebody who's following, you can tell when a leader is being vulnerable and being real. You can truly tell. So somebody who's vulnerable and real and relatable is a good leader to me because he knows how to he knows how to talk to everybody, not just one person or type of person, but everybody, and be able to communicate it well. Then of course, down outside of those three or four things, you have the necessary skills of punctuality, business type skills to be able to saying lead. But when I think about that question, I think about how you have your lead by example guys, your say what you say, do what you do type of guys, but then also guys who just who's always consistent. I think that's always too another thing I can say. A leader who plans, who does what he does, and he doesn't do it so he can try to get accomplished or recognition. He just does it because he love it, and that this is passion, and he basically fuels his passion onto everybody else to where it's consistent, and he try to make sure that everybody try to be great and on his level just like him or her.
Well, and if you're listening, like, and you're a business leader, like, this is directly translatable into leadership in organizations. So off the field, on the field, doesn't matter. These principles are still incredibly like just much needed. And I have a question for you about this, and I'm really curious on your feedback. So there was a lot of I feel like there's a big shift in corporate doings, meaning leadership teams are now focused around all the things that you're talking about versus corporate toxicity. So some organizations led a lot with toxicity. And I'm sure that you saw that in sports too, because I know I did. I saw, there was really incredible leadership. And then there was also like this kind of like really like harsh leadership and toxic leadership. Are you seeing that the athletic community is transitioning over to that as well? And the focus is more around authentic leadership versus that kind of old school stuff. I don't even know how to describe it.
I feel like just society and athletes are going towards the authentic route. If I had to remember more so the toxic traits or toxic things when it came to athletes or the sports world was definitely things of just letting politics run the team, letting the coaches run the team instead of the players run the team. Then at the same time, have saying telling one guy one thing and then telling another guy another thing and try to get them to both come together, which is not real. Playing favoritism, just kind of different things, and I think that's not really allowed for. And going into the, I guess, this new generation now is more so just somebody who's just real and authentic, and you know doesn't doesn't do bad business. When I say bad business, I think toxic things do come with bad business. And then at the same time, if you do mess up, being able to own it and actually like address it and actually move forward, and doing those things, because I feel like you know leaders are not perfect. They're gonna make mistakes, but you can always respect somebody who addresses it, owns it. Try to make sure they don't do it no more, and move forward. Um, I feel like nowadays, at the same time, it's also too about just going to people, either one on one or in front of the whole team, and let them know your thoughts and being able to like hash things out. I feel like it's something about a leader to me that knows how to take both sides and be able to come to a compromise and hash it out to where we're not, going behind closed doors, what I'm saying, tweeting it out, or, doing, talking to our, what I'm saying, our people about it. We're actually just going to let it all happen in one space, and whatever we could decide, we're just going to stick with it, and it doesn't leave the room. And this is how I look at it in terms of a leader. Like this is how we're going to handle it. And I think most leaders are now, I feel like, don't know how to handle situations. And there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. But I know when it comes to longevity and that having people respect, that can really play a big role in that.
So I want to take a total turn here
Mhm.
because there are so many people that have books within inside them that they have tried probably for years and years and years to get pen to paper and to just get the book finished and out and published to the world. So I want to dive a little bit into that process with you to just better understand how you went about taking the thoughts in your head, putting them on paper, and then getting them published. So tell me a little bit about that journey and how you went about that.
Yeah. So going into rookie year, you had that summer before going into preseason camp, and I remember, like I said, we had a lot of free time, a lot of free time outside of football. So I just remember I thought I knew writing for me was something I liked and something I could see myself doing. So I basically decided one day, like, you know what, Jonathan, I'm gonna write a book. And from then on, I was just like, the way I'm gonna do it is I'm gonna write something every day towards it, like write something every day towards it, like however that look. And if no, then it just doesn't come to me. But I try to keep that creative flow, because it's always hard to pick up the pen. But then when you do pick up the pen and you start flowing, it's just like, okay, like it's kind of hard to drop the pen. So it's just like I try to make sure to not drop the pen. And so I remember doing research, asking people, how do people get their books published, going to publishing houses, doing research. I went to a publishing house, told them what I'm trying to do. I'm in the NFL. Let me leverage that to be able to do that for y'all. Showed them my story. They liked it, but they feel like it can be much longer. I remember it was Summer Juice it was supposed to be like a 10-page children book, but they wanted me. They felt like this could be a whole novel. So I was just like, okay, I'm gonna have to wait. I'm gonna have to wait towards next year, because once I'm in season, it's kind of where we're locked in. So I remember next year off season, I continued to to pick back up the pen and like continue to flesh out the story and see how I could finish, how I can have a plot, how I could, add a resolution, how I could add a theme. So I try to really like flesh it out. And for me, I knew that I needed to be able to save time in the day for football, working out, and then save time for writing and actually have a set schedule and regimen. Like I think it was 2019 before 2020, that summer of 2019, I made sure to set aside some time for an hour to write. And even if I did have events or had things going on, I still try to do so. My one of my best friends, Owen Burks, who played for the Packers, he can truly address a time where he was going to get married, and it's the night before he's about to get married, and I'm with him in his room on a laptop, typing my paper away. And I think for a lot of people, when it comes to goals, you gotta have that defining moment. I think that was my defining moment where I knew, like, yep, I'm for real about this. Like, this is no facade. This is no, oh, this is what I think one day, and now I ain't doing it again next day. That was the defining moment where I knew, like, okay, I'm trying to make this happen. Since then, I remember going back to my publishing group before the preseason, that 2019, with a whole 50,000 word manuscript of the novel, of the story, and they was proud of me, and we was excited, and then since then the rest is history. So basically, it's really just about disciplining yourself and basically find what works for you, but also staying consistent along that. Like, not if you drop off, okay, but getting back online, because you got to know your why and know what you see down the road is what you see.
Guys, this is brilliant. So, like, and I want to tie this back to some social media stuff because I get asked this all the time. What are you doing? How are you growing your following? What are you doing? And I'm sure you're getting this too. Is like, how are you developing this business network? It's all about discipline. Like, it's all about being committed and saying, this is how I'm going to do it. It may be different than everybody else. I don't have a million resources to do this for me, but being committed to actually doing the work and not giving up. I think people give up so easy.
Yes.
Athletes are so good at this. This is the discipline and the grit that people talk about from athletes. Like, what are your thoughts about that?
Well, I remember specifically a speech at Vandy, where my strength coach talked to us, and he was talking about how we are athletes, we are abnormal. We're and we are, like, he
We
says,
are.
we're athletes because we're abnormal. We're the type to be able to do all this rigorous work and exert so much physical energy, then somehow go back to a classroom and compete and write my best paper and do my best work. He basically told me how, when we're at the football facilities, you're here, but when you go off into the campus, which was in his world, in his mind, another world where people are conformed and people, are different. You don't want to try to lose that. You don't want to try to lose that hunger and let some of the things and their worries and the traits that they have rub off on you to where you don't have that drive or you don't have that hunger or that discipline no more. And I think for a lot of athletes, you understand immediately how this is what's going to get you to the top. But at the same time, I can truly say you got to really be able to phase out the distractions. It seemed like back in the day where you didn't have social media and you wanted something, it wasn't hard. It wasn't hard. I don't say it was hard, but it wasn't the distraction of social media to be able to really, hone in on you. But now, growing up during this time, you got social media, you got the instant gratification. That could rub off on you. That could make you start comparing yourself to others. Like, what am I doing wrong? And you over here like, dang, like, do I really want to try to do this? And then maybe you're like on your process of doing it, then you kind of you start to have doubts because you see other people did it in a way less timely fashion than you, and it could be a lot of things with social media or other people's situations that could like throw you off. But you got to understand that you know everybody's going to be great, but everybody has a different timeline to it. And basically, that's kind of one of the things I had to learn when it comes to discipline and actually enjoying the process. You know, you don't try to rush the process. Just enjoy it while you're there, because you're gonna look back at this journey, and you're gonna be like, see the growth and see how much this all meant to you. Because something that is earned real fast can be lost real fast, but something that is earned, through time and through everything, it'll take a long time for it to just let go and drop. So yeah.
That's amazing. First off, this is so heartwarming for me, because I literally was on the phone with a lady yesterday that was just comparing herself to other people, and she was always getting disappointed by the work that she was doing because she was comparing herself to other people. And the reality behind the scenes there is those people have probably 7 to 10 different resources managing their platforms.
Yeah.
And so if you're comparing yourselves to somebody that may have access to additional resources, you're always going to be disappointed.
Yeah. And then just also knowing that's where they at, but they're not really, they wouldn't show or tell you how they got there. And just understanding that you're gonna get there one day, but it's gonna probably be a different route. Things as such as that. Then at the same time, I don't know, it was a post not too long ago I saw of some of our beloved billionaires and where they was at my age or at 30. And it basically showed how they were homeless, or they was working at a restaurant, or how they were still in school. Like they was doing these low end jobs, or had a low end life, if you want to call it, before they actually hit big. And it really do put things in perspective, of how, like, okay, like, this is where you got to start first before you can like get to the top. So that's just one of the ways I look at it too as well.
So what are you up to now? So I know you've got a lot of, and we're wrapping up on time here. Thanks for Rex popped in and said, great interviewing guest, another happy Renaissance person. Rex, Corey and Jonathan know each other as well. Rex is a super fan of Corey.
Corey's my guy, yes.
So what are you up to now? I know you've got, a lot of entrepreneurial stuff that you're doing. What are you working on now?
Yeah, so before transitioning into retirement, I had thoughts of, finding ways to where I can do more writing or do more things creatively. People, after I wrote my summer juice book, was wondering, okay, like what's next? Are you gonna write another book? Do things such as that. So with me, I realized my gifts. The gifts for me, I feel like that God blessed me was creativity, um, writing, athleticism, sport. Fourth one is what my grandma used to tell me. I had a gift for bringing people together. So I remember realizing that, and I was just like, okay, gift of bringing people together. How could I, either utilize all three or all four to be able to do something that I like? Because for me, I like to have a good time. Then at the same time, I don't want to work. I'm not the type to work a job 9 to 5, the conventional life. I think it's easy. It's easy for some people to discouraged because your friends, your circle is working 9 to 5 conventional life, but that's not what you feel. But I had to accept off the rip that whatever I do is just not gonna be unconventional. It's not gonna be normal, and I'm okay with that. And some people can kind of be like, "Oh, I don't know," but it's like you just got to do it. So for me, I realized that one of the things I want to try to do while I'm here in Nashville, because I have a house here. I'm here in Nashville. I see what's going on in terms of the Renaissance, in terms of the things that's moving and shaking of how this city could get better. I want to add to it by actually owning my own restaurant one day. I feel like off the brand of me, who is genuine, who's authentic, who's somebody that you just gonna naturally love and have a good time with, I want to apply that same vibe to a restaurant. So, which is one things I'm planning right now in terms of a business plan wise, early stages wise of making that happen. Then at the same time, I am working with the laundry. I don't know if my people are on the show, but I'm working with.
If so, drop us a comment so we know.
Yeah, I don't know if they're here tuning in because I'm definitely going to see them after I hop off. But I'm basically working with their ideator program. Vanderbilt University, my alma mater, they have a building called the Laundry where a lot of innovators, entrepreneurs can go to when if they have an idea or something they want to flesh out to be able to make happen in fruition. And with them, I told them how one of the things I did going in my rookie year was that I filed a patent. And I filed a patent in 2018. It was a sleeve patent, compression sleeve patent that I filed with a different vein design or athletic design. Not 3 years or 4 years later, this is now official. USPTO officialized it. Now I'm working through their program to be able to get it licensed. That is one of the goals I want to make happen this year in terms of getting my patent license and actually putting that on my resume. So I'm working with them in terms of making that happen. So those are the two things I could say that I'm working on right now to make happen this year. So yeah.
And there is something else that you mentioned when we first met that you were interested in doing. And there are a lot of people listening on this show that have their own podcasts or have their own teams that they're looking for people for. So you are also obviously a very incredible speaker. And I know that you and I have talked about doing some workshops and some stuff together in regards to this, but you've got such a beautiful gift as it relates to speaking and leading and coaching and inspiring. And so if anybody's listening that is looking for amazing speakers, I know, Jonathan, that you're interested in exploring that developmentally as well.
Yes, I told Amanda what I journaled in July was that I don't know what I'm going to be doing after football, but I know whatever it is going to revolve around, it's going to be doing something with writing, something with speaking, or something with creating. Or it's going to be either one of the three or all of the three. So I'm realizing that what I want to do is kind of more so all of the three because it'll make me feel better. It'll let the shine in me feel better. So anything with speaking, I would definitely be down with. Of course, I want to do better with public speaking because I know I have a gift with that. I just got to tap into it real more. So basically more opportunities with that. So that's one of the things I can say when it comes to the speaking as well.
Well, I am totally cheering you on, my friend. I'm so excited to see all of the amazing things that you have going on. Thank you so much for joining today. This has been a blast. I know that you've brought so many amazing tips and tricks to the people listening. So thank you for joining.
No, thank you. I mean, I really appreciate the time, and I can't wait for more times for us to meet and chop up and talk about the things that we're gonna do in the world next.
Well, and to everybody listening that continues to support, thank you so much for joining. This is definitely a highlight of my week. I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to just introduce the world to all of these amazing people and athletes and to just share stories and best practices. So I sincerely appreciate you guys continuing to tune in and your support. And we'll look forward to going live again next week. So good to see everybody. Oh, how do people connect with you? LinkedIn?
Yes, LinkedIn. You can find me, Jonathan Wynn, but also on Instagram.
You're way cooler than I am on Instagram.
Yes, my name is Wayback_Wynn. I will spell it out to you. WAYYBACK_Wynn WYN. That is my signature / author / other ego name. By so basically just follow me on there and you can listen to my campaign through LinkedIn and through Instagram.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, everybody, for joining. Jonathan, thank you for joining. If I can be of assistance in any way, definitely reach out. The best way to get in touch with me is on LinkedIn. My Instagram is totally not impressive, so don't even go check it out. But LinkedIn is a great way to connect with me. And if I can be of assistance in any way, definitely don't hesitate to reach out. And until next week, see you soon.
Bye, guys.